Hello everyone. In this video, I just want to introduce to you the interface of SPSS. So this is SPSS 26. So if you have the same version, you should get a view like this. But if you get another version, also it is okay. So this is how SPSS looks like. Most of the time, you will collect data using Google Form. So if you have Google Form data, you have already downloaded it. So we try now to import that data. So there are many ways for you to open a CSV file. So one is using open, and also you can import data. So let's try just one method today. So you go to file, open, data, and here you need to change your file type to .csv. So if you have downloaded the data, so this is the data that we are using. You can download this in the slides in the website. Then you open. Usually you don't need to change anything. In this data, the first row is the variable name. So you click next, and then it will ask you whether the first line contains variable name. It says yes, so you don't have to do anything. The decimal point is period. Next. Then the first row of data begins at line 2. So this is something that we don't need to change because it's already correct. Okay? So you click next, next. So this is the overview of how your data will look like. If it looks okay to you, then you just click next and finish. And now you have successfully imported your data. So this is about the student satisfactions in about 3 things. P is perceptions. V is venue. You have also T and I. So if you are not sure about this, you can refer to the slides. But today we are just focusing on the basic interface of SPSS. So here we have two views, that is data view and also variable views. So data view is where you can see your data. This is also where you enter your data. So there are many ways to enter data. You can use SPSS. You can also use Excel. And you can also collect data using a Google form or any online form. And then if you do that, you don't have to enter your data manually. Okay, so this is your data. For example, here I have 21 case. So this case here is actually the number of participants. This is participant number 1, number 2, number 3, and so on. So these are all your variables. And we also have here variable views. You click this button and you get the list of all your variables. Student's ID is the unique identifier. You may or may not collect this. And also you have demographic questions. For example, we have age, sex, race, and exam score. And we have 4 sections here, P, V, T, and I. Okay. So we talk about this. This is the variable type. So normally you will set is numeric. If here numbers, then you should put here as numeric. But sometimes you don't use number, you use alphabets. So if this is the case, you can change this one into string. So there are many other types, but these two are the most common one. For here, we don't need to change anything. It's width, this is the size of these numbers here. Usually you don't need to change anything. Decimal is a decimal point. If you want it to be a whole number, then you should set as 0. If you want to have a decimal point, then you can just select how many decimal points you want. So label is to explain what this variable is. For example, student ID, you might want to label it as a metric number. So you put metric number here. So in label here, you can include special characters, for example, space, and you can include space, but you should not include space in variable name. Variable name should not be the same with any other variable that you have, and you should also not include space. So if you need to use space, you can use underscore instead. Okay. This values is where you define a number for a categories. For example, sex here, we have two categories, male and female. So sometimes you don't want to type female, male all the time. So to make life easier for you, you substitute this category into numbers. For example, 1 for male, 2 for female. So this is a common practice. So if you want to do that, for example, in this one, it's already in numeric form 1 and 2. So if you look at the questions, the 1 is for male and 2 for female. So let's try to do that. The value 1, the label is male, and then label 2, the value is female. Add. Okay. Race, if you look at this, you have 1, 4, 3, 2. So you have 4 categorizations. So if you refer to the questions, 1 is for Malay, 2 is for Chinese, 3 for Indian, and 4 for Iban. So you get these categories. So the same thing, if you need to categorize these responses, these are the Likert scale responses from 1 to 5. So if you want to change that, if you want to label it, so 1 is strongly disagree. 2 is disagree. 3 is neutral. 4 is agree. And then lastly, 5 is strongly agree. So you have this categorization now. This is Likert scale. So notice that you have a lot of items here. You don't want to do this process for all of these items. So instead, what you can do is just right click, copy, paste, and all the way until the end. Okay. So missing values is when you don't have a data for that questions. So it can be a lot of things. It can be because you forget to enter data. Maybe your participant did not want to enter data. They don't want to respond for this. Maybe they forget about it. They missed this. So there are many reasons for missing data. So there are two types of missing data. One type is user-defined and system-defined. But for simplicity's sake, you just don't define anything. Just let it blank. So whenever you see a missing data, just leave it blank. Okay. Column and alignment is just to beautify your data. It's not the important. So, but important thing is measure. This is the level of measurements. We have nominal variables, we have ordinal variables, and we have scale. So anything that is interval or ratio, those are scale. Okay. Student ID, you can leave it as scale because it is numbers. Age also, and exam score. Okay. So we know that sex and race nominal, which is categorical variables. And these items, since this is Likert scale, so this should be ordinal because Likert scale has like a progressions. It has a ring from 1, which is strongly disagree, all the way to strongly agree. So it has some sort of order. So it should be ordinal. So you should change all of this into ordinal. Role here is more important when you do machine learning, but in this case, you should just leave it as an input. Right? It doesn't affect your analysis. Okay, here I want to change age, the row age, into age group. Just now we have collected age as a all of these numbers is open-ended questions, but sometimes you don't want this. You want to categorize age according to age group. So can you do that? So you can do that with a function in SPSS called Recode. So to do this, you go to transform and then look at Recode. There are several things here. When you record into same variable, it will replace the old data. So usually we don't want that. It's better for us to record into a different variable. So SPSS will create a different variable based on the source variable. Here in this case is age. So let's try that. Age, you put it into this box and you need to define a new name for these new variables. We are interested in finding age group, so you can type here age underscore group and then you click change. So when you click all and new values, so these are where you can change the values. This side is all values and this side is the new values. Okay. Since we want to categorize this age into a certain range, so we click range. For example, the first categorization, I want it to be 10 years of age until 20. This is category number 1. So I click add. Then 21 to age 30, age group number 2. And then 31 to 40, age group number 3. And 41 to 50, age group number 4. And then lastly 51 to 60, age group number 5. So when you do this, you should check the maximum value and also the minimum value. From that, you can judge how many categories you should have. Right? It doesn't have to be 5. This is something that you have flexibility of doing. So after you have done this, continue and OK. Then you can check your data view. Here you have a new variable which is age group. So now this V22 is something that I just put there to show you how to delete variables. So this is a variable that doesn't make sense. So how to delete this variable is just right click, clear. All right, so we have done with recoding. So this recoding has a lot of functions. Not only you want to categorize raw data into certain categorization, you can also reverse the score of these items. So for example, you have a negative items, you want it to be a positive item, you can use this function. Okay. So if let's say you have exam score and you want to categorize it into a different grade, A, B, C, D, so you can also use this function. Or if you have an exam score and then you want to categorize them into fail and pass, you can also use this function. For example, you click this, passing range supposed to be 50, and above. So this one should be 50 through the highest. You can also set below than 50 as fail, more than 50 as pass. So there are a lot of things that you can do with recoding.